27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What do you got to eat? Here, guys. Ooh. What's this say? I don't know. What's that say? I know, but I'm not gonna tell. I think it says it's good.
Conjecture Hoops contains all the presumptions, assumptions, and off-the-wall postulations a growing kid needs. Conjecture Hoops, a big bowl of bullshit. Saturday morning cartoons.
Now at night time.
Mostly conjecture based on little knowledge.
Please welcome Max Headshrew, Dell, Aria Blackness, and your most gracious host, Ben motherfucking Jackson. Applause. Applause. Applause.
Hey!
Hey guys! I just noticed that for the first time ever, I'm actually wearing the jacket that I have in my photo today.
Oh yeah.
That's right. That's right. Hello, mysterious strangers.
It's for breakfast today. Is that sick ass jacket, dude?
Is fucking Red Bull, bro.
And Red Bull.
And a sick ass background as well.
Oh yeah, this is all digital.
It has begun!
I was going to play that when Rob made a crap joke, but he's not here, so.
This is all green screen.
It's still
Right
the
here.
same.
Oh yeah.
More
That's hilarious.
uh,
You're like, I've got the perfect video drop for Rob. And then Rob's not here. That's Murphy's Law, boys. What a fucking great book, Miracle Man. Although, if I'm honest, I don't think it's as good as like a Sandman or an Animal Man. But it's pretty interesting.
You were a big fan of the Animal Man, eh?
Oh yeah, I like the Animal Man a lot. I find myself like the only thing keeping me from being like a fundamentalist Christian weirdo is like I know that I evolved from an animal. I can feel it because like I be baring my teeth at people and like hunching my back and like through, you know, and like I came from a monkey, dude. There's no like obviously, you know.
Yeah. Or like you see like the really like big
walking
butt
around
baboons.
like this. Yeah, exactly. I see the
You're
big
like-
butts, and I
Yeah,
start
you're like,
popping my chest.
It's buried in
And
your
like-
genetics.
And like I feel so strongly about that book because it connects with a part of me that no other work of fiction really has, where you just feel like this ancestral memory of being like a different species, right?
It's, one of Grant Morrison's best.
It's really brilliant. And I don't get me wrong, I think that the gay man bits of Miracle Man, right?
Yeah.
Meaning those such bits as were written by Neil Gaiman. That's what I mean. Yeah. That's just as magical, to be fair to him. Like they're a little bit slow, to be fair, compared to compared to like a Sandman, and they're a little bit hard to crack. But I like those issues. I don't know if you guys read that far, but I like those issues too. And I think, I mean, they're all wizards, man. Gaiman, Alan Moore, Grant. You know, I'm really, as a writer, I'm in awe of the way they put stories together. Like Gaiman, I think especially, they'll just start like in medias res with some character that you're like unfamiliar with. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Actually, how would that be? Present, share screen, compartir. Right, so like issue 21. I don't know if you guys read this far.
I
But this
read
page,
4 pages into the first issue. I'm so sorry.
this is one of the earlier issues. Well, I mean, you guys, Alan Moore sells the story. It's basically Thus Spoke Zarathustra, right?
Right.
It's basically Miracle Man is the Ubermensch, and here's what the world looks like when you remake your own morals in your own image, right?
Yeah,
So-
Miracle Man. If you want a scaffolding to it, Nick, Miracle Man was supposed to be originally like a Captain Marvel or Shazam type character,
Right.
Yeah,
and then Alan Moore
Yeah.
sort of
Alan-
about that.
So he reinvented the character, so his origin was like,
He Alan Moored it.
yeah, it was like fabricated from
Okay.
an evil alien sort of entity.
Well,
instead of,
if you go back even further to the 1950s run, I mean, the reason they started writing Marvel Man, as it was known back then, is because they were originally printing Captain Marvel, or what was known as Captain Marvel back then, which is now commonly known as Shazam. They lost the rights to publish that, so they effectively just came up with their own character, who was effectively the same character. They called it the Marvel Man. It's a boy who has a secret word that turns himself into a superhero. So
Right.
Captain
Like
Marvel,
Shazam.
it's Shazam. In the case of Marvel Man or Miracle Man, it's Komodo.
Right.
Although I have to say
yeah,
that
and because Alan Moore and Grant Morrison got hold of it, it goes down like the darker, the sort of more fundamental questions that you might ask about a little kid into a super.
And I would even say before darker, like real, right?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
you're
Splash of
dealing with these.
existentialism in there.
Exactly,
Well,
'cause you're-
so the thing that stood out to me in the Grant Morrison, sorry, Ben, I'll let you.
that's
I'll
all
let
right.
you
Go
answer.
ahead.
The thing that stood out to me, I think it was the Grant Morrison one, was that how do you, if there is an equivalent and opposite to Miracle Man, of a kid that can turn into a superhero, a bad superhero, how would you necessarily deal with that if you were Miracle Man? If you kill this superhero, what do you have to do? Ultimately, you got to kill the kid.
yeah.
Hey man, some
Absolutely.
kids gotta fucking go, bro. Just
Right, but it at the time as well.
He's an orphan. Who cares?
Yeah, fucking.
well, everybody will get over it eventually. You know what I mean?
For God and country, right? He's expendable.
What I like about this run that you sent is that the Alan Moore run is that it's complete because you have the Alan Moore stories, but you even have one issue where they obviously ran out of time. They passed the deadline and they didn't get the scripts in the time or the artwork in time, so they had to reprint some of the stories from the 50s, and they
Right.
make some joke about this. And you can see just how far comics had progressed from the 1950s to the early 1980s in terms of writing. The sophistication just came up tenfold. Because the
And it's
50s
also-
stories are very, what you'd expect from 50s comics.
Well,
they're very
in-
squeaky clean stories.
Right.
The inclusion of those old issues, about 2/3 of the way through or 3/4, is a really tricky writing technique because as you'll recall, like the first issue starts in that world, right? So when you're rereading those republished old issues, you're not, or stories rather, because it's like 2 in 1 issue or something like that. You're not really sure if these are actual real reprints or if this is some funny trick, because the story starts off with a funny trick where you think you're reading a 1950s. Was it the 50s? I don't even know. A 1950s Miracle Man.
Yeah, mid 50s.
Where it's everything is preposterous and camp, right?
Mm.
We're right on time. They're preparing to take off. Shout wit before our onslaught, so let's go. Okay, young, we're going to destroy every one of those machines. Like you're watching Space Ghost, right? And it doesn't make any goddamn sense, right? They go into the future and destroy the machines so that the bad guys who came from the future never went to the past. So Homeboy is like literally fighting bad guys 1 second and then they just vanish. And then you think about this for 2 minutes, even at 12 years old, and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. If the machines were destroyed in the future, that means they would have never come back in time in the first place, and they're like winking at it the whole time, tongue in cheek. Because fucking Miracle Man's like, maybe he's like, so Kara was never here because he never left 1981. It sounds unbelievable. And then he looks you dead in the eye, the reader, right? A la Animal Man, and he says, maybe so, kid, but that's the way it is. Or was it? And it's like they're telling you these stories don't make sense.
I feel like no one ever, when they do a time travel story, ever sticks to their own rules of time travel within the story that they're telling.
Back to the Future is the only one.
I'd have to think about that, but you could.
That's
be
our
right.
topic for
I
next
know
year.
Big Brother is a massive fan of.
Ooh, we're gonna do a Back to the Future episode.
Yes,
Yeah,
in 1 week from today.
That would be sick.
Do you remember Looper?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that film, Looper, at the beginning, like it sets up this world that, like, it sets up the rule of sort of time travel that is super strict, and I really enjoyed it. So when things were being changed in the past, the main character was starting to lose memories of the things that that happened to him because they didn't happen. So not only which would happen, right? You wouldn't, if someone changed the past, ultimately you would never have made those memories, so you wouldn't remember if the past was ever changed, right? So I like that.
Correct.
But then later on, they what's his name? He's the writer of The Last Jedi.
Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson tries to be clever, and there's a guy that's trying to escape from the mob, but they've got his body in the past.
Yeah.
So they're sort of telling him he needs to go back, and he's not. So in the past, they're cutting things off him. So like he's running, and then he looks down, and one of his fingers is gone, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So then then his arm disappears. Then his
it doesn't really work for me.
No, it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Because at the end, he's got no legs and he's crawling on the floor. You would never have made it there in the first place.
Exactly, you would never have made it there in the first place. Yeah.
Well,
so that's why I don't like Looper, actually.
Yeah. I think with time travel stories, you always have to have a bit of artistic license or suspend your disbelief, because they're all flawed. None of them work. Because if time travel was real, then as soon as you get back to the past, any time before you were born, you would instantly eradicate yourself from history.
Multiverse theory.
There is one
accounts
film
for time
that totally avoids all of that, which is the Avengers Endgame.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
When they say, as soon as you go back into the past, you've created an alternate timeline. So you can go back into the past and kill yourself, but that's no longer your timeline, so you won't die. But then at the end, they still fuck it up with the way Captain America grows old. Because he's back in the past, he wouldn't end up in that present. It'd be a different present.
Yeah.
So they fuck it up.
Except for the part where he's Captain America.
Every time travel story is flawed, with the possible exception of that Ray Bradbury one where they keep going back to the time of dinosaurs, and I think they disturb a leaf and they keep getting back to the present, and it's
is that a
Michael
Crichton
present.
Is that a Michael Crichton novel?
No, I think it's older than that. I think it's Ray Bradbury. Yeah.
My point is, that's fine if you're going to if it's going to be inconsistent. Just don't set up these world-breaking rules at the beginning.
Right.
Or say that it's going to be so strict, or say things that want to be one way, and then break your own rules.
Yes,
but the point is,
you've got to adhere to your own rules.
Yeah.
But the point is, Alan Moore said, no, fuck that. I'm making a story you can take seriously. And I'm going to do this cool magic trick where I'm going to take the characters and everything, all these ridiculous, stupid ass stories. I'm going to take all of that which happened to them and I'm going to make it real. Watch me. And the way he makes it real is that they're in this like LSD fucking MK Ultra mind control simulation where they have these like delusions where none of this shit's real, but they're experiencing it because they're being made into super soldiers like in real life, right?
That's a brilliant idea.
Is the concept
One of the greatest.
The old 1950s stories that Alan Moore presumably read when he was a kid?
Yeah.
Were these the hallucinations that they're having in this mind control scenario?
Right. That's right. So even in Alan Moore's...
So it's very clever because it's still canon.
Oh, it's genius.
Yeah, but it's all a hallucination.
And then like Neil Gaiman does the same magic trick with Sandman, right? And what's his face? The guy that wrote Starman. Oh, sorry, dude. He's a good writer. I can't remember his name right now. But he did the same magic trick for Starman, right? And then Alan Moore did it again with Swamp Thing. But this is really cool because it's the first sort of time that anyone thought to do that, and it's probably the most clever of all, right?
Yeah.
The classic, the original.
It's kind of similar to what they did with the latest Star Trek films, where they veered off on a separate timeline, so they could say, so it's like a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Almost. You can say, okay, well, if you want to believe that the original was canon, you can, but we're going in a different direction here. I mean, obviously, it took 30 years for Hollywood to get around.
It's kind of like music.
To this concept.
It's kind of like music because you take for granted aspects of like rock and roll or something that you've experienced many times in many songs. And then when you go back and you see the first time anyone did that, it'd be useful if I had an example in mind, but I don't. But the first time anyone does a magic trick, there's something really, really special about it. Because then you think it forces you to recall so many books you've read. And you realize like, oh shit, that's only possible because this book exists.
Yeah, it puts it in a new context for you as well. So the nostalgia has more of an edge.
And it's only the geniuses that have these ideas, or have the foresight to put them
all the
time. No, like the way this is the way you must feel, Max, when you look at like some perfect painting by Frank Frazetta.
Hey,
out of this world drawing,
I don't have to look at a painting to appreciate how fucking great some writers are.
Oh, I know you appreciate it and understand it every bit as well and as much as I do. But I mean, like, I want to do this. You know what I mean?
Too. It's just I don't have enough fucking time in the day to commit myself to being any sort of writer, really. So it's quite refreshing.
I'll do the writing.
I like having something to enjoy.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to sit down and try and sort of beat on a creative level, or get somewhere close to, is actually like where I can just enjoy it. I think at this point in life is actually really, really nice.
But but that's super different than how I feel, because I read this and I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I'm like understanding the composition and pacing and structure of a good story, right?
Do you think that maybe people who aren't artists like we are actually have the ability to absorb these stories in a way that they're completely removed from? Because like I feel people like us will read these things or look at these things and we're constantly being comparative to ourselves and our abilities. So like there's always a little part of our mind that's being drawn out of the narrative because we're like, oh man, how can I do this? We're like, I wish I would have thought of that. Wherein somebody who's not artistic just gets to enjoy the fucking story.
I'm almost it's a bit of jealousy that people can do that, right?
Yeah,
because it's like an erotic hook that's into everything.
I'm jealous as hell.
Even if
Yeah.
you watch something, you watch or read
Dave.
some, like watch a film that it like hits you a different way
Yeah.
that you haven't felt for ages, and like part of me is like that
Yo,
is
what's
fucking
up,
brilliant, and then I instantly go to, could I have ever done that? I don't know if I could have ever done that, and then I start trying to deconstruct like my own equivalent of it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a weight to carry.
It is.
I'm getting there.
The tragedy of being an artist.
I'm getting there, you guys.
Oh, by the way, I'll make a plug here until these people fucking sponsor me. Liquid Death. It's so good. It's so good. It's
I just got on that.
carbonated water. Yeah, dude, it's just carbonated flavored water, but it's fucking delicious and I love it.
That's for human consumption. What's called
is for
death
human.
and things.
Liquid Death.
Yeah.
Murder your thirst.
I like it. It's getting me to drink more water.
Can you guys hear that cat? Is it
I
coming
can,
to my
yes.
Is that a cat? I thought it was a kid.
I thought it was Max.
It's a cat, and it's like in heat, and it's downstairs from me.
Poison.
Yeah, I thought it was a crying child.
Yeah, I did too.
It's a cat looking to get
No.
nailed. Del,
Will
did you hear what we
like,
were talking about before you got here?
Yeah. So I got like I got like the concept part of the conversation about enjoying the art and everything. But yeah, I don't know too much. I don't know if you guys already started on Miracle Man, but I really don't know anything about Miracle Man. He looks like I'm trying to think of the cartoon. He reminds me of like Johnny Quest. Like Johnny Quest is like dad.
He's basically he was a form of Captain Marvel of Shazam, and then
Shazam.
Yeah, and then because of copyright issues, it went off and became its own character and became Miracle Man. So he was sort of part of the original vision of Shazam at first, but
He looks
Britain's
gnarly
take
here.
on
All I can hear is that cat, dude.
When I googled him, it looked
Oh,
it looked a lot. When I googled
Ben,
him,
will
it
you
looked
go and
like-
fuck that cat and shut it up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
Do us all a favor and go fuck that cat.
I'm gonna have to real quick. I mean, not with
Hold
the
on,
dildo.
I gotta go fuck this
with
cat.
The,
You know
with
how
the
it is.
dildo, though. With the dildo, not with my actual own penis.
And you know that's never
Sure,
as
yeah.
good.
That would be animalophilia. So yes,
it'll be helping the show.
it'd be helping the show. Yeah.
Do it for the
Yeah,
show.
take one for
man.
the team.
Yeah, buddy, come on.
I've never actually, honestly, I've
Watch
never heard.
watch
of
to the
Miracle Man.
end to see if Ben actually has sex with the cat.
Yeah.
So
Most cats
basically,
have barbed penises, so you're probably doing it a favor.
the gimmick, because I have a barbed penis he'd be used to. The gimmick of Miracle Man is that he, like Shazam, he's the normal human being switches bodies with the super powered version, right?
Right.
They switch
Which
bodies,
means they switch bodies.
like Avatar type stuff, where like they're not in their body, their mind is in another body, but still with their original body. Or
Bro, it's even wilder than that because motherfuckers can have more than two bodies.
what?
So dead ass. So you have like negative space. Why don't I have a panel of that ready to show you? But you have like these infinite negative space fucking garages of bodies in suspension. Check it out.
What? Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, you can be a
Yeah.
lizard too.
Right. And
Oh,
all them
dude.
bodies,
I want to be a lizard.
it's like all them bodies, like a whole bunch of them belongs to one dude. So the justification for this existence of this superpower in the real world is this is alien technology where you can basically warg it in a collection of bodies of different species that you own. So like here's a human, here's a lizard guy, here's whatever the fuck, right?
So like
So
instead of
it's
having
all
a bunch
this
of
closet-
motorcycles, you have a bunch of
Closet
bodies.
full of like costumes and stuff.
You have a
something
closet
like that.
full of bodies, exactly. And
That's
like
fucking sick.
the dope thing about it is that like in this society, animals that have a lot of bodies are rich, right? It's basically the equivalent of being wealthy.
What?
Mm.
Is that lit or what? Like, what an
So-
awesome idea.
Yeah, I saw you
Altered-
mentioned. I thought you saw. Oh, my bad, Nick. Go ahead.
Altered Carbon did something similar to that.
Yeah, dude. I was just about to mention that. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the second
Yeah,
season,
right.
but I felt like the second season was gonna go more like this. But like the first season definitely was like into that whole like, yeah, you got this like bodies, and then like you want a younger, newer model, you can get it. Like,
Yeah,
it's
so
crazy.
Oh yeah.
like the
But they're all
concept in
human,
Altered
though.
Carbon. Well, yeah, the
Yeah, they're all
concept. Yes,
human.
they are. Well, the technology is actually alien. Well, they think it's alien because they don't know where the
Yeah.
fuck it came from. But they have these things called stacks, these like cortical stacks that go in your fucking basically in your C spine, and it absorbs your consciousness, and you can switch that. Like you can either take the data from that into another stack, like you can needle cast to another body on another planet, so traveling is instantaneous.
Oh,
or-
dope.
But it also allows you to live basically indefinitely
Forever,
if you have
yeah.
the money. Yeah.
Right,
So
replacing.
the people at the beginning who were already rich became like, imagine if like Jeff
Bill
Bezos
Gates.
never had to die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Bro,
how
they become
incredibly
gods.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
So they
bro,
become
that's
mess.
what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens in Miracle Man. Homeboy
Yes,
becomes a god.
So in Miracle Man, like
Yeah.
he could just like what's transfer is because in Altered Carbon, it's like what like because everybody's like what makes you you, right? You have paraplegics, they have like
Okay,
no
so-
arms, no legs. So like you can have
So
a
check it
heart
out.
from a different person. So your like consciousness is like what makes you you. So Altered
Here's the
Carbon,
difference.
you're like this little like
Here's
Nick
the
was saying,
difference,
you're-
Del.
you live in this little chip.
I'll tell you how you play these two video games in a different way. In Altered Carbon, the consciousness travels between the bodies, which is why it's like interstellar travel because you go
Yeah.
to the body in the other place where you're keeping it. But the way that Miracle Man rules are different is your consciousness is always where it is. Your consciousness doesn't change. The bodies come to where you are.
But
You shuffle
like-
through your bodies. Yeah.
So inconvenient.
It's just not as advanced of technology, right?
yeah, so I'm a
I
little
see.
confused by that. So like how's it like
So you gotta be like next to it to transfer.
No,
Yeah.
it's like this. You're playing a video game, right?
Uh
And wherever you are in the video game, meaning wherever you are in time and space, you just flip through your bodies as you like. Because every time you say the magic word, you switch bodies.
oh,
Oh, it's like changing a skin, like on a
Yeah,
It's
video
like
game.
I was
changing
just
it.
saying.
Because like Shazam, right? He's a little kid and he's like, gosh, this is a job for Shazam. And now he's a superhero and now he takes care of business,
okay.
right?
So it doesn't allow
then-
him to travel, but it allows him to
Correct.
change. So
Yeah.
it's more
Right.
shape shifting.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
so
Well,
the
it's the
bodies
ex-
stay in that closet. They don't have to
it's
be
the-
near you.
It's
Interdimensional
exactly.
shape shifting.
Because the bodies are in underspace, right?
Right, got
Which
it.
is like storage, basically.
So
and,
it's like in another dimension, like very
It's a
parallel to
sign-
ours.
Exactly. So this whole story is like a science fiction, read speculative fiction way of explaining how this
Mm.
technology could exist so that you can have Miracle Man in the 1980s and it be sophisticated and interesting to read and not
I
campy
see.
like the 50s, right?
Yeah.
And carrying over all of those stories and now making them real.
And
His,
depressing,
Yeah, it is
What's that?
depressing.
which is my favorite.
Of course.
Yes.
Go ahead, Buddha.
I was just going to say, yeah, it was campy, the 50s run. His catchphrase was "Holy macaroni," which
I thought that was great.
I can remember saying as a kid. Like when I read that, I was like,
Macaroni.
"Holy!" Yeah, I can remember saying it on the
Which is
playground.
incredible because that was in the
Because
30s.
It predated. the 50s. Yeah.
So what you're saying is he got it from you.
He
No, it was like a playground catchphrase at
Yeah.
school, but I had no idea where it came from until I
Big
read this.
Buddha is actually a lot like Miracle Man in that he is a
Cool.
kid that turned into a much older man. It just took 42 years.
Yeah,
He's using the same technology Miracle Man is. Where the
Yeah.
body's at, Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the body's
But
The body aged, but the mind certainly didn't.
yeah.
like, yo, so this like Star Wars slug animal, right? With the googly eyes and thing.
Yeah.
right? Somewhere between a xenomorph and a Star Wars goof.
It's like Man
That
in Black
thing-
type shit.
Exactly. He just, because he's an alien or whatever, he just
Well, he's got
switches.
Swamp Thing mouth.
He just, yeah. So Swamp Thing mouth, snail, googly eyes guy. He just switches bodies. Now he's a turtle that's also a tank. What?
Yeah. Tank turtle.
Turtle tank. Tank turtle.
Oh yeah, so that was my next
Turret Titty
question.
Turtle.
So like,
Tank
you know, like,
turtle.
so in like, man, I can't remember what video game I played. It's like that, like, it's not Tekken. It's the one where they change from like a leopard to a fucking human being. But
That's
when
Tekken.
your health, when you're
Altered
fighting,
beast.
yeah. So you know when
Oh,
your health
yeah.
goes down, your health goes down. You can switch your skin,
Yep.
and then your health is back to wherever you left your
Yep.
human health at. And if you go back to
Exactly.
your
That's
animal
how
health,
it
your
is.
health is like where you left. So you can do that too in this world, in Miracle Man. Like, oh shit,
Exactly.
he's fucking on my cockroach
like,
skin, and then
Bro,
you're like,
and like
I'm a lizard.
sometimes he has to switch bodies for like maintenance because he's like, oh right, my normal body needs to fucking sleep and heal, so let me be normal for a couple of weeks.
Oh,
Well,
damn.
there's,
Is
there's
that
an issue
wild,
where he
dude?
gets 2 fingers bitten off, so he has to change to Miracle Man because every time
Have his whole
he
hand,
changes
yeah.
back, he's in pain because
That's right. I
his,
forgot.
Oh,
his hand's
wait.
being mutilated.
So,
Did everybody
so
read
then when he
Animorphs?
goes back to his normal stuff, whatever damage he had, he goes right back to where he left off.
That is correct.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So my next question is, where the bodies are at this other dimension, whatever, is there like people living in that dimension that can like fuck up with your like your closet while you're like your costumes and shit? Like, say you're like in the
Well-
world being a turtle, and then some dude starts like fucking up with your. And then you gotta switch bodies, and you're like, where the fuck?
Well, bro, that
You
is
like
a
switch
very
to something, you're
interesting-
dead. Like they split the throat
That
out of
is-
every freaking costume. Or
That is a
skin, or
very
whatever you call it.
interesting question, my dude. Because check this out. There's
Wait,
like
that's some
this
cool art right there.
Yeah, it's good eyes. All right. So there's like these sub stories. Yeah, here it is. Where Homeboy goes in. It's called retrieval. They're like little ash cans after each issue, where there's like hardly any text. Most some of them don't have any text at all. But it's just showing you visually a story of like Homeboy taking a soul that's dead, right? So like the garbage,
Oh, that's pretty
basically,
sick. Look at that.
of this world, and like recloning him into what he was before he died. So resurrecting, reincarnating the same person, exactly. So like that's what happens, Del, is like you can go into someone's garage and steal one, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
you'd have to be like super high level.
But what about like
No.
fucking it up? Know what I'm saying? Like, so when the person just had like
Could you
say me and Nick are
sabotage
trying to,
everybody's collection?
yeah, like say me and Nick are trying to kill Ben, and then like Nick's in
Oh,
that like,
word.
row of the closet now, so I'm like fighting Ben, I'm like fucking Ben up, but I'm just keeping him
Right,
occupied,
and
so
you're
there's
like
a
in the
switch, and Nick's
underworld.
just sit there slitting the throats on every single one of those like skins,
Right.
and then you switch, and then he's like,
Well, my dude, you
And
can
I'm like,
tell that
surprise,
Alan
motherfucker.
Moore. Well, here's why we need Tier 1 comics in the world, because Alan Moore was not Special Forces, so that never occurred to his dumb
Motherfucker didn't know shit about unconventional
Yeah.
warfare.
So like you create, it's frustrating sometimes when a writer will create some premise and you
Yeah,
have
it's
a
pretty awesome.
great idea of what could transpire within that premise that never happens in the book, right?
yeah,
So that's when you're like, I have to write a story because this needs to exist in fiction.
right, yeah, you're right, you're
Mhm.
right. That's pretty cool though. Like, the premise that he came up with, like, when did you say this came out and when?
Yeah,
The late 70s?
Uh,
Or like
This is what-
it was like 81 to 88, I think the dates.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's like before,
1989, dude. This went into like
Oh,
1989.
that's when I
Oh,
was
89.
born. That's pretty cool.
Me too.
That's when your boy was
And
born.
this, what we're
Yeah, I
on
was
here
born in
is
89.
this is the tail end of the Alan Moore run, isn't it? This is the final
Yeah.
story where he
is.
essentially becomes fascist dictator of Earth.
So what I'm seeing
Well,
is that
He's like the Zeus. He's like the new Zeus. Is more like
that's
it.
like his
It's
Mount
like-
Olympus.
yeah,
Yeah, they build a Mount Olympus.
yeah, but there's
Which is
a
fucking cool.
definite sort of fascist leader look to his costume by this
Yeah,
point.
but I'm into it.
Is it?
Fuck with it.
He looks like
Oh,
the
I mean,
Shah
he's-
slash Tsar of Earth.
He's just the czar of the planet, dude. It's like
Yeah,
Do you guys remember what was that superhero thing from DC where Superman goes rogue, becomes like a king, the ruler of Earth or something?
Oh,
Dickhead
fuck.
Superman.
They did a game of it, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a game with it's a
Whatever
there's a
happened
Justice.
to the Man of
Some play
Tomorrow?
on Justice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the name of that thing?
there's a. I think they did a DC Animation did a series on that.
Yeah, Injustice, Gods Among Us.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Injustice, that's it. Yeah. So it's like kind of like Injustice before Injustice, or maybe
Yeah.
even the inspiration for Injustice. But the cool thing here is that he's totally got this shit on lock. Like he knows what the fuck he's doing, and he literally makes the world a great place. Kind of like what Christians expect will happen with the second coming. So it's basically like a Nietzschean thing where he's saying like, it ain't no second coming, dude. We have to make our own gods, you know. So you could call
Those
it
lungs.
you could call it anti-Christian in a certain sense, but it's their brains.
Oh,
But it's like, and I think that's an anus, and I'm not kidding.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like
But it's like, yeah, it's like we made our own God, and he's doing a better job than us taking care of each other, you know?
what So like what I'm seeing then is like a lot of people or a lot of franchises have made like copies of this into their movies instead of like taking this idea. Like, is this like, I don't know, like if you guys are talking about it because you guys like know about it, or like it resurfaced and you guys knew about it and it resurfaced, or like what's
So I was after this run. Grant Morrison does a run, and that's the one I read, and I really like that. So I suggested doing it for the show, and then Ben has gotten hold of the Alan Moore run.
so is this
so-
run just finished?
So are we doing a part 2 on the Grant Morrison run? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think we could, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should.
'Cause I haven't read it.
Oh, the
I
Grant,
think we should.
I reckon you'll enjoy the Grant Morrison run.
And I'll tell you what, if you didn't read the Alan Moore Miracle Man, just skip it for now, and let's all read the Grant Morrison one.
Like it was the runs between Morrison and Alan Moore was I mean it's in the Grant Morrison documentary was like the sticking point that started like a weird little feud between the two of them.
Oh yeah, I did know
It was
about
Grant Morrison.
Told him to back off.
Yeah.
Or
Alan
told
Moore
Morrison to back off.
back off, yeah, because he'd sent him a letter sort of saying that, you know, since you've left the comic label, is it okay for me to carry it on and stuff like that? And yeah, he basically just told him to fuck off. But
No, it's mine.
no, it's my story and you can't have it. I'm a genius.
Right.
That's what he said. And then he did it anyway. And I think after that, they were all sort of.
Presumably, Mike Angelo, the creator of the character, never said this to Alan Moore when he took over in the 80s.
Right. You know Alan Moore a lot. You know what Alan Moore's like, though?
Oh, Alan.
He wrote for the character,
genius,
so
but, like,
therefore
he
he
always
owns the character.
He's a genius, like, but every time I see him in an interview moaning that there's no good comics out there anymore, and then when he's asked the question, when was the last time you read a comic? He's like, not for 20 years.
Jeez.
You'd have to old twat.
But I mean, if you're going to look at the Grant Morrison run, I mean, you can't skip over the Alan Moore run because of how it brought the character back into the zeitgeist and how it arguably changed the comic book industry. I mean, this just must just have been mind-blowing to have read back in the 80s. If you went into this expecting the 1950s version, and you got this, and it was so dark, and it was so eruditely written, and it was just so the polar opposite of what the 1950s issue was. And you can everything that Alan Moore is sort of famous for and did throughout the 80s with Swamp Thing and Watchmen, V for Vendetta, where where he took the comic book industry and matured it. It really started here. I'd argue with this.
Yeah.
This is where you get his predilections for very dark stories, very eruditely written stories. I mean, there's the odd issue in here and there where it's all panels, and I was reading it, I'm thinking, well, it's well written, but I haven't got the first clue what's going on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Man, this is good. Sure wish I knew what the fuck was happening.
Yeah, get back to the stuff about his baby. I was kind of on board with that. I understood that angle, but yeah.
Are you familiar with?
It was revolutionary stuff,
Are you familiar with Friedrich Nietzsche?
Well, I know that there's a philosopher called Friedrich Nietzsche.
So
he's mentioned a metaphysical wonder. That's about.
I haven't met him personally, but
No, but he wrote this book called "Thus Spoke Zarathustra," and it's basically like an alternate gospel, meaning a different view of what a Messiah should be, because Zarathustra is not the messianic figure. He's a prophet, and it's this book about this fictional prophet preaching the Overman, the Übermensch, which is a man-made. It's Nietzsche's.
Is that a Zoroastrian roots?
Correct.
Okay.
So because Nietzsche's idea was that human beings continue to evolve, and we're going to get to the point where we deliberately create a godlike person out of our own evolution, right? Like 2001: A Space Odyssey, the same idea, right? And that's going to result.
You're going to get Max on a fucking AI fucking tangent again, dude.
And so here's the thing.
I love AI. Yeah.
Because here you have the idea of the Overman, and then you have the idea of superheroes, and you just link them together. And you're like, oh, okay, let's put these two things together. So now my Übermensch is Miracle Man, you see?
And Zarathustra is, of course, referenced in Miracle Man.
Yes,
so do you think? Right. So have you seen the thing lately where they're trying to do this thing where they're incubating babies in these incubation centers? It started off as just a proposal, but people thought it was the actual thing that was being built. But yeah. So do you think maybe let's say the perfect human, what people consider perfect, was created? Do you think that kid eventually those group of kids that were born in those incubation without all these problems and where their traits were picked will soon see themselves as higher than us?
Here's what I see.
And then
haven't you guys seen Gattaca?
The god out of that group.
You ever seen Gattaca?
I just said that. Fuck yeah, Gattaca, dude.
Yes.
It's a film made in the early 2000s about a separation in society between
genetically superior and inferior humans.
Yeah.
Was that the one that there's a guy with a brother and one with
right.
his brother was swimming and he saves his brother?
Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
My head. So yeah, my idea was coming from that movie, kind of.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite, pretty similar to that, really.
Well, I tell you this. I think some people read these books and think, yeah, let's do that. We can do that.
I think it's great that I don't know. I think people don't ask the questions why the fuck are they doing some things? Maybe some things just shouldn't be done.
I don't know. I think we need more division in the world.
You mean AI, Max?
Genetic division specifically.
I mean a lot. AI art you're on about. Did you watch my?
I think the AI art thing so there's a whole studies done and everything. This goes into psyops. I'll talk about it more when I get out of the military. But
I think AI in general is fascinating. But I think in the long run, it's definitely going to be detrimental on all levels.
Well, they're trying to.
I don't
trying to-
understand how it could not be.
Okay, yeah. So there's like this whole campaign in psyops where people introduce certain aspects that change societies, and it's basically normalization, right? You start
Yeah.
introducing things little by little. So if you put in art, so you have to get all the pillars of what makes society, and arts is one of them. Usually people
Right.
say like, yeah, if you get to the arts, which is like your celebrities, your movie or whatever, your media, and then it like changes the culture, and the culture changes the politics, blah 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 blah. So it's like the culture is where you start normalizing things. So if you could start with the arts, things that people feel emotionally. What's the emotional part of the human? It's like there's like pathos.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and no one's hearing it.
This is normalization, like. But you should look back. You should look into the AI, like how that whole movement started on social media. It's this whole psyops campaign. It's not by accident, because that type of technology has already existed, but they're just now pushing it in like social media and trying to really like make it a thing now, just to normalize it. And like there's people that are doing it that are like legit, just like artificial intelligence and the art, because it does look good. It does look really
It
cool.
looks fucking amazing. It is.
But like you said, why?
Because
Because it's always been there. But like now, there's this like
Right.
it's just social media push for it and everything is what's dangerous about it. And if you look
This
into
is
where it's
Nexus
coming
One. This
Because
is
it's
Nexus
harnessed-
One.
When
Yeah.
you harness people that
Yeah,
have
Nick.
been through 20 years of trying to hone a skill, and you just give them the skill, they don't understand what it is that they're actually playing with, or what it
And
is.
Max, you're just doing the whole I had to walk uphill both ways to school when I was a kid bullshit.
What do you mean?
I had to walk uphill both ways when I was your age. You damn AIs just got this shit for free.
What I'm saying is, in 20 or 30 years, there'll be someone sitting down in a park drawing a picture, and a little kid will be like, "Mummy, why is he doing that?" Because
You have to use your hands. That's like a kid's game.
He'll already have the fucking option to fucking do all that shit on his phone, and then
No,
that,
so what-
all that
so what
will
Max-
get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Lost.
Well,
So
standing
Max-
on the shoulders of giants.
Max,
Yeah.
so like, so when you think into like the foundation of what that is, right? Like somebody actually drawing.
Technology. I want to celebrate people, and this will wipe people's achievements out by
So-
consistently getting AI to just produce it easily.
Well, that's the whole point of it all, Max, is because that changes culture. Now, you know, like the arts, right? Let's say the arts is like everything that's created by man, right? It's
Yeah.
like, well, nothing, everything is second to none when it comes to an actual drawing versus digital coloring versus actual coloring.
Right.
Digital penciling over digital penciling is like, well, yeah, the guy's still doing the work with the brushes on the computer, but like, you know, it's not the same, but like it's slowly being introduced.
It's so
Now
not the
there's this
same.
whole-
When people
So-
make a comparison to digital art and AI art, it fucking blows
Okay,
my
so
mind.
what you hit it on the nail. The kid going by the park saying, "Hey mom, why is he doing that?" That's a whole cultural shift of that kid is not just using AI for has never seen somebody draw, they've never seen somebody cook,
Right.
they've never seen somebody
They've
drive,
never seen it.
they've never seen
Yeah.
anybody do any of that stuff. So
Right.
the arts is one of those things where it's just a normalization. And the thing is that like AI art's been out for a while. It's just they've honed it so much to where they're now making this push to be like, well, you don't really need an artist. You can just go get it done by AI. It's more convenient and
So,
it's
yo.
cheaper. Oh, and it's just as good as the, you know, like if not, it looks like some of that AI art. It looks like it was actually done by a human being.
Mate,
versus-
like there's have you seen Mid Journey?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it can produce stuff that looks like the current trend in Mid Journey is that they're sort of recreating films from the 70s and 80s that didn't exist, and they're recreating them in. It is fucking cool. They're sort of recreating them as if they're set photos, and they're like when I first saw the first couple, I was like, oh, I don't, because I'm a film buff. I was like, I don't remember this film being made, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
not
It doesn't exist. Yeah.
But this is the problem. Like it's you can't tell. For all intents and purposes, it is a form of art. It is art. Like anybody, when I understand artists are scared about it, but like the argument of whether or not is it art or not, it's just fucking irrelevant because it's coming regardless.
yes,
And
yeah.
like, there was a prestigious art competition that had they put the feelers out for artists and stuff, and the one that won was a fucking piece of AI art, and they've since had to ban AI art being put in. But this guy's like trying to fight for his money because he said, "Well, I followed everything that was on the
rules.
In the rules." I mean, he did really, but typing in a prompt saying in the style of and the artwork that he produced is fucking beautiful, but it must have took him, I don't know, 35 minutes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just go through with the different prompts. Man, it's frightening.
I think what you're
always thought it would be the other side of the coin that would get taken down by AI art first, not the creative side. But it's just figured out that, like, essentially it works similarly to the way a human being works when you're taking information through experience, and then you blow that information out through creativity. But the AI process just does it in a much more focused and fast.
It's a randomized.
Yeah. Like my contention with it isn't that it's not art. It's that even if it is art and it's great, maybe we just shouldn't have it.
It's normalization, and the thing you say, regardless of that, it's coming, because the one thing human beings like is convenience,
right?
And so it's like I remember when Disney cartoons started going from like the whole, like, pretty much, I'm saying flip book, but like frame by frame drawing art style to what it is now. And then I remember like seeing like cartoons like Ed, Edd and Eddy and all these great cartoons we grew up with that were like they were done through a computer. Like nonetheless, they're still being drawn digitally and some of it, analog. I call it analog. By hand in some ways, but at the end of the day, everything is just kind of computer generated to the point where it's completely. And you see the difference, but like I'm pretty sure now they can create that old look from the old Disney cartoons and make it look like somebody's drawn because they have the technology for it.
So these photos here.
Del, do you remember that movie where Jim Henson and H.R. Giger worked on the set creating the practical effects together? Remember that movie?
Yes, yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
No, because it doesn't exist.
No, are you talking about the one that you have up there? This one?
Yeah, this is AI.
This is not real.
This AI?
Real
okay, so all right, so like that's crazy. See, look
at this shit.
Because I when the whole AI thing was, when I saw the whole AI thing going on, I was looking at that, and I just looked at the memes and stuff, so I didn't know that it never happened.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it fooled me. See, it fooled me.
That's
wow,
crazy. Dude. Wow.
Yeah.
The downfall of human supremacy. Bring on the machines.
Yeah, I didn't research into it enough, and that's pretty crazy.
Dude. Look at this dude's hair. Okay? And he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's
insane, dude.
How can you tell? How can you tell?
It's a mixture of Geiger and Jim Henson.
Well, I think probably just the vapid consumption of art is going to be taken over by AI at some point in time. But
100%.
But art is just the vessel in which we express ourselves, where an AI is not able to do that, at least yet. They can replicate it. They're replicants. Like I said, it's like Nexus 1.
True. True.
This is like, this is behind the scenes stuff of something that doesn't exist. There's no final product. And ultimately, even if they made some scenes, some shots, or a full fucking film, there's no message behind it.
But listen.
Yeah, those images couldn't exist without the Dark Crystal existing in the first place.
No. You're being short-sighted.
And the work of Geiger.
This, what you're looking at there is
my glasses off. Tell you boys how it really is.
From an AI piece of software that's in its infancy. It's like it's nowhere near complete. And the way it gets completed is by people consistently using it. And there are millions of people on the forums. Go onto a Midjourney forum and you will see the amount of work that's being churned out. And the more work that gets churned out, the better the the algorithm gets, and the better that it gets at creating the art. It's not going to stay at art. Not going to stay at writing. Everybody's going to have their own personalized media. And it's going to move you exactly the same way as any other piece of media or artwork. I'm telling you. And
but ultimately, the art's not for anybody else. It's for you.
Just saying that convenience.
I know what Nick's trying to say.
Convenience.
He's saying that My bad, Max.
Dad was just saying that convenience overrides most things, right? And he's
Yeah.
absolutely correct. When the masses are hit with consistent personalized shit that's just put together by your Alexa, you're not going to give a fuck about other people's artwork, whether it's got meaning or not. You're only going to care about the artwork that's being pumped into your face.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the consumption of somebody else's artwork or somebody else's AI artwork.
Talking about the artist.
No, I'm talking about the reason why you create art.
Yeah. No, man, that's what I meant. That's why I thought you were trying to get at, Nick.
But that'll be lost as well, because when you're a kid that grows up in a world where all art is made by AI and no humans really make it, you're not going to know how to express. It's making.
But imagine the rediscovery.
That'd be
as fuck.
I mean, but like,
figure.
Like, no, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, look at all this stuff. Like, let's take like all this fucking like the nostalgia fucking machine that is unstoppable today. Like, look at all this like vaporwave music, like all this stuff that is reminiscent of a time that's gone by, that's produced in an increasingly digital way. But when we get to the point where we're so far in the future and all this shit is AI, and then some kid just like drops something and it like makes a scuff on some fucking surface, he's like, oh shit. And like makes a physical piece of artwork. Yeah, it's gonna come fucking full circle.
I agree.
There's going to be a split. There's going to be two.
There will be a split, and I totally agree. But this is
there's going to be two worlds of art fans.
It's not going to be split into two. It's going to be. No, it won't. It'll be split into two, but they won't be equal parts. It will be mainly AI consumption, and over here are going to be the hippie, yippie, flipping artists.
Who cares, dude?
The same amount of people. It'll be the same amount of people. Artists will be the same amount of people that run fucking vinyl shops, and if you produce handmade art, you will be a hipster faggot.
I love it.
It sounds pretty much how it is at the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't sound all that different.
Hi, my name is Ben Hipster Faggot.
The mass audiences like regurgitated shit thrown at them, and then there's the
I told you you were going to make Max go on this tangent. I fucking knew it.
You come in.
Anyway, Miracle Man.
You come in.
And you will find thousands and thousands of digital artists. And that
come into the store.
Is about to get.
So what's crazy
is it blows my fucking mind.
You walk into the store. And the store says human-made physical comic books. Human-made physical comic books, and you come into that store, and you got Batmans, and you got the Immortal Asadis, and you got Taylors. No one.
You guys, this would be a great fucking comic. This would be a great comic.
Yeah, AI. Like
oh my god!
Rediscovery of art.
Why aren't we writing this story? Why aren't we writing this story?
He's like cooking. Like, Daddy, what's he doing? He's cooking eggs. What are eggs?
Telling you, mate. You all need to fucking. You all need to get on board with the anti-AI art shit because
presented by Saturday Morning Cartoons.
Telling you, the new order's coming and you're part of it. You're helping it happen.
No, presented by.
Yeah, this is what you all look like to me. You're like slumped over a table and the Terminator is behind you, bumming you really, really hard, and you're going, nothing's wrong, everything's fine. Like it doesn't even hurt. Like he's not really bumming me. It's just a machine. And I'm like, Ben, you're being raped by a Terminator, and you're like, nah.
Dude, that's all about consent, baby.
I think that's what it is. It's like you don't mind.
Nah, man. Anyway, Miracle Man.
I knew this was coming.
Miracle Man and AI.
Yeah.
I believe that in every podcast we get to this point where we go, anyway, the thing we were supposed to be talking about.
Let me just.
For good now.
So the human-made comic book shop, that's going to be in a comic book. And then when it
Yeah.
happens in real life, it'll be like, I predicted that shit, man.
Bro,
See?
I can
Fucking told
already
you.
see the articles, man. It's
Could
like
AI write that comic?
human-made comics is now being created by AI. They can't do this to this throwback comic. It's a classic. It's literally in the name.
Dude,
It's literally in the name.
No, we need to fucking
Blasphemy.
instead of that's what we all need to bring, like Rokon Fiction, Tier 1 Comics, fucking Buddha is watching. We need to all come together and just make a conglomerate brand of human-made comics.
Yeah.
Human-made comics.
Yeah.
We were thinking of making
That's
a
the name,
company, called Spore Comics, right? Because Max mushrooms, spores,
Yeah,
mushrooms,
the
head
spores.
shroom.
That'd be
What
cool.
you're saying.
I think that would be a good name.
I think that be more of my recreational use to when I get out too. So I think I'm
What'd you
digging
say?
Telling you,
that.
get some spores down you, mate. You'll be thinking more along the lines of what I am telling you.
Nah, man, I'm with you, Max. Like, I honestly believe, because like I'm really into the whole psyops thing. I think when it comes to just comic books, this Miracle Man thing, like, because I mean, like Ben said, man, these people created these like dope premises back then, and the thing is that maybe they weren't just like I don't know if they just got burnt out or whatever to like take it where it could have been. Maybe it's the consumption of just a bunch of medias of not just being a writer, or maybe it's like you were a consumer first and then you became a writer, and there's so much more you could do with it that like people that don't do art and don't write comics take that and it's like, I'm gonna make this shit for real. Like my dad just bought some night vision hunting goggles. Looks straight out of Star Wars, dude. Like the crap that Luke Skywalker used on Hoth. Where he's got it looks just. I gotta send you guys a link. It looks just like it. It's like night vision in like 4K or 8K, whatever the new shit is. And I'm just like, what the hell? Somebody saw Star Wars. It's like, oh man, like I can't write a cooler story than this, and I can't like film a cooler thing, but you know what I can do? Actually make that shit, and then they make it. So it's like this whole idea of Miracle Man with all these body skins and stuff like that. People keep making these movies, and somebody's like, fuck it, I'm gonna make one.
Yeah,
and my kid just walked in as I said that.
That's what he said when you were made, son. Fuck it, I'm gonna make one.
Who knows what's about this? One of the Stargate series was similar. Who's up on the Stargate?
I
I'm
haven't
up on
seen any of the
Stargate.
new ones. I've seen all the old ones.
that was like at 8:30. They said that half an hour ago.
Is it a new Stargate series? Like, 'cause
Maybe
I don't know
he's
which one's the new one?
Here.
I think we were talking about something, probably something to do with Miracle Man.
Oh yeah, no. He wrote that when we were talking about altered carbon.
Right.
Yeah, where I
yeah.
mentioned something about altered carbon, me and Nick, and then
Which Stargate series was like that? Because Stargate's like interdimensional or like intergalactic travel, but
I think there's
it's like
one where they,
it's like wormholes and shit.
Yeah, I think there was one where like they went on like different bodies or something like that.
Oh,
Some heavy duty conjecture.
SG-1 and some of Atlantis.
That's some heavy duty conjecture, dude. Wow. Homeboy on the ball today.
Dang.
So back to
Love you,
Miracle
stuff.
Man. Like, so
Who
let's
used to bring it back
remember.
full circle? Nick, right? Nick used to do that. Who's the person that would always bring us back? It was Nick. Pretty sure it's Nick.
I would try to.
Nick does it sometimes. Buddha does it sometimes too. So, anyways, like Miracle Man's a god, right? He's the god of Earth, but he's not the only god. There's like the Miracle Woman. There's like the aliens that have the body switching technology, right?
Do you think he could compete with AI?
Shut up.
Oh my god!
See the skin? AI.
Miracle
If I
Man
catch
was
any of you fuckers alone, I'm going to fucking kill you.
He said that?
no.
That's what Miracle Man said, right?
No,
Miracle Man's
Rittenhouse.
like-
I didn't know Rittenhouse said that. What a gangster.
You said that before. he
Miracle
shot.
Man's like, you guys are all gonna get taken down by AI. Y'all should have listened to Max.
Hey, listen, I'm just worried about you guys.
Max, to be clear and serious, I do agree with you, and I am not trying to subvert your opinions.
I like it when
He's
people
just a
try-
troublemaker, Nick. He's a rebel.
I love
He's
it
a
with that.
rebellious guy. all was right with the world. Right? Here we go. Here's planet
Max,
Earth.
you are prepping yourself to be like the prime fucking choice person for a fucking a guerrilla campaign. Like when we go into places and they're like, who are we gonna link up with? You're the guy.
Like Max, he's definitely for the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh, sounds like you're pretty upset about something here, bud. How about some firearms?
Here's the sun.
Oh, man.
And here's the god of planet Earth. Miracle Man.
I was right with the world. It was just, and it was good, and he saw that everything was good.
Exactly. It's like an homage to that, right? To that verse. And then here we have people going to pray.
Are we into the Gaiman?
No, this is Alan Moore.
This is still Alan Moore.
This is still Alan Moore for sure. And then so you've got the Miracle Man logo insignia on the stained glass of the cathedral, and you go to pray. And that's wicked, right? And then the secretary, God's secretary, right?
Deborah,
this fucking 11 out of 10 babe blonde chick, right? And then you go up this pilgrimage. Like, look at this shit. There's these 4 people. Okay, we're gonna go pray. So we have to go on this like pilgrimage for days and weeks to like, cause like it's God, right? So like you can talk to him one-on-one in person, but there's like a 2-week waiting period where you have to go through all this bullshit.
There's a wait list.
And it's like
Very
so
exclusive
clever
club.
because it's like it's bringing us like it's like collapsing the universe down one level to where it's like, okay, let's say there is a God, but what if he were like this?
What's his availability like?
Right, exactly. Making it more tangible because it's such a weird concept and a lot of people grapple with it. You know, a lot of people don't believe in God, you know. I think that's how you come up with this kind of idea is struggling with that.
Well, it's almost humanizing a bit, you know what I mean?
Making God human.
Well, yeah, it kind of like closes the gap a little bit between being, you know, just human and what you might perceive a God to be.
Right, kind of like the gospel according to St. John, you know, like demonstrating the reality that God is a man and man is God.
Yeah, like fucking God pays taxes too, okay?
He did once, dude. He said render unto Caesar.
Yeah, he did.
And so like the pilgrims, they get an audience and homeboy tries to kill him. Homeboy tries to kill God. And then this girl, she wants to be an artist because she's got cool ideas. And he's just we can do that. Yeah, I hate AI, so I want this human to be an artist. And then homeboy number 3 is like, my daughter and my wife are going to die from brain fucking aneurysms or some bullshit. Can you like heal them so they don't die? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because like sometimes in real life you pray for things that it seems like would be like the natural, normal, right thing, and nothing happens, right? Yeah. So this is like personifying that kind of phenomenon.
And so like they're touching all the so like they're touching like the questions that people really do have about the higher power in God. That's interesting. There's I can't remember which philosopher said there's like 3 different people, like types of people in the world when it comes to like knowing the universe. There's the people that are fine with not knowing the answers to the universe. There's people that try to find the answers to the universe, and then there's the people that just make the answers to the universe. So it's like,
and then there's the people that just want to fight God for the fun of it.
There is those people.
Those are the people. Those are the people that are fine with not knowing all the answers.
Yeah. Well, no, they're trying to make the answer. They think they have the answer.
Oh, you're right. So they want to fight God. Okay.
Right. They want to be God, which is Satanist. Which is like,
well, it's like
I'm not saying that Alan Moore's a Satanist, right? But I'm saying it's the same attitude as Satan, at least in the John Milton story.
Yeah. So I think that's a whole thing why a lot of people just get upset. Like like it's funny because like most people that like I don't know, like I would say like atheists, for example, in like the what do you would call it, college, no, the university, what would it be, academia, right?
Yeah.
They can't
Jacket is sprinkling.
they can't stand that there's believers in higher power that are okay with not knowing the answers to the universe. That bugs them out. And then so they're always trying to find the answers so that they can prove these people that are okay without their answers, like, no, this is super important. And then like you said, there's the other people that I think they're more opportunists that were like, these people are so desperate to find the answer. These people are not even paying attention to like what the answers are, that we could just create it, like creating their own God, creating whatever, manipulating society, governments. They're just kind of like, I think, take advantage of the people that believe in a God, or the people that are trying to find the answers. I don't know.
Well,
You mean like Soviet Russia's been
Yes.
going on since the 1970s?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My boy Nick, check what I'm putting down.
Well, I mean, I'm of the persuasion. By the way, Nick, those gloves can be a bit loud, close to the microphone. Sorry. Exactly.
He's working on his bike, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. That's good. But like what I was saying, like, man, what was I saying?
I have no fucking idea, man.
We're talking about Miracle Man being God, and like people creating this idea of a God.
Oh yeah, people creating an idea of a god. So like that goes all the way back to Plato, right? Like the idea of an Illuminati or an oligarchy, or people taking charge and power of the earth and deciding its course intentionally. That shit goes all the way back to Plato, dude. That was his book, The Republic, right? Where he talks about the noble lie, which is the Illuminati, which, by the way, is real, and that's how the world actually runs in reality.
I mean, they exist, but there's conspiracy theories.
Alan Moore is,
Which I believe.
is a neo-pagan.
Correct. And the reason why he would be categorized as a pagan is because, well, if he believes what this book is saying, which maybe he doesn't, but you have a whole pantheon of gods, right? Because it's not just Miracle Man. It's Miracle Man and Miracle Woman and the alien dude that can transport bodies and the other alien dude that can resurrect dead people, right? So they have that guy is like the Hades. Miracle Man is like the Zeus. This dude is like Hermes. Miracle Woman is like Aphrodite.
I once had a conversation with somebody about Grant Morrison, and they were basically they were like, "Yeah, he's good, but he's a bit weird, isn't he?" And they're like, as the years have gone on, I just sort of think you need, in order to be a good creative, you've got to have something that's a bit off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole fucking point, isn't it?
There needs to be something in your personality. Like, I'm just reading about Alan Moore now, and he said he worships an ancient cult snake god and glove puppet called Glycon.
What's his name?
Glycon, Glycon, Glycon.
I've heard him talk about this though, and the reason he worships this god, he essentially says that he made this god up. I mean, that the way he articulates it is that this god appeared to him in his mind during a hallucinogenic trip. And it spoke to him, and he was able to have a conversation back. And his thing is, why is something that appears in the mind, why can't that be just as tangible as something from the real world?
Right.
Because he practices magic, and and his take on magic is making something taking something from the mind, from the subconscious or conscious, and making it real and tangible. Writing is that. Creating.
He's a wizard, but what he really means is he's a writer. Because when you cast a spell, to spell out a word,
Yeah, and it's just the same with his religion. He says he communes with these gods, but they exist on the plane of his consciousness.
Right, Grant Morrison does something similar. He basically puts everything in a room that pertains to the thing that he's trying to do some creative indulgence about. He fills a room full of that thing, and then he stays in that room and basically takes LSD or mushrooms.
Yeah,
and then the convolucence of all of that brings forth, some form of hallucinogen or something that sparks in his subconscious or sort of waking hallucinogenic conscious. And then
I should do that.
Yeah, I really want to do it too.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
He said it took him a while, but he was able to get to this point where he was able to conjure up this god and actually have conversations with it
Right.
in these hallucinogenic states.
Go,
but I don't know if that's what neo-pagans do, especially if that's their practice.
Well, this is it. I know when he's like proper sort of asked about it, he reduces it to stuff that sounds more rational.
So that is what neo-pagans do.
He still presents it in a way that's
Okay.
a kink, right? There's a kink to it, and it's his it's his weird idiom. It's his
So a neo-pagan.
It's not how everybody spends their Saturday nights.
No, like Grant Morrison.
Conjure up pagan gods.
He did a big presentation and high off his tits on MDMA, and then sort of telling everybody that magic was real and who practices magic here. You should practice magic because magic is real. But then when you actually boil it down, it's just a way of focusing
energy
towards
a purpose.
Yeah,
it's basically imposing your will.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And it's what every creative does. It's
Now,
saying, here's my
exactly,
mindscape.
Exactly.
Writ large.
It's a way of understanding a process that you automatically do anyway. If you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, what a neo-pagan is someone who takes that same core principle of how the world works and paints onto it these deities, because every pagan religion has this pantheon of like the human experience taken to different extremes, and basically decides, these must be real people. They're not real people. But some people have the idea that they're real people, like people used to think, right? That's what paganism is, right?
Right. Moore's argument is, if it's in his mind, why is that not real?
Right.
And
there's a part in this book where he even says it. I wish I had bookmarked it. Where he even says we're trying to get to a higher world. That might be the Gaiman stuff, actually, now that I think about it. Should I show you that, or do we want to just talk about Alan Moore?
Yeah, you can get it if you like.
We can. If we're going to do a part two, I would
can
like
save
to
it for a part two.
read the Gaiman stuff.
So Alan Moore did V for Vendetta as well.
So
yes,
what I wanted. Here's what I have to say about.
I'm from hell.
I like how he.
If you guys are really digging this, like revitalizing superhero, James Robinson, by the way, that's the name of the writer of Starman. So like that would be another one of like the same magic trick where you take an existing property of a superhero and you figure out how to make it work into a realistic, fun superhero world.
Starman, any relation to the Starman movie?
No.
Okay.
I've never heard of Starman.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Starman by James Robinson. It's a superhero that is an astronomer, homeboy that looks through a telescope, and he creates. So he like knows all about the stars, and he creates a magic rod that can like make him fly and shoot energy blast. So like through having this gravity rod or this star rod, right? Homeboy is a superhero just because he knows how to use this weapon, you know?
Like a wand with the
Mhm.
star on it.
It's like a propel. It's like it takes him, it lets him fly, right? It's like a handheld rocket. more or
When
less.
was it rebooted by James Robinson?
1993, I think.
Okay, so this is sort of post. It's post Miracle Man, post Sandman. So
Yeah, it's like post. It's like post Animal Man. So it's like the next.
yeah,
It goes like this. It goes Alan Moore, again Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison, James Robinson.
James Robinson. Yeah, he's
That's
who I
that's
should be
the
reading.
progression of like that magic trick.
Okay. Yeah, no,
But
so
James
I was just-
Robinson didn't write that much.
no.
He's not prolific.
Okay. No, I think like everyone else, the only Starman I know is the Jeff Bridges film. which
Thanks
I
for
think I
unmuting
saw.
me there, big guy.
You're welcome.
I am
Speak,
gonna take off.
Nicholas. Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it's been an hour 20. I got some other shit I
That's-
need to wrap up here.
Yeah, all right. Okay. We won't go too long anyways. Okay, watch Back to the Future for next week. Just
Now that one I've seen.
then you're all
Yeah,
good,
I
baby.
think I might have seen that once or twice.
However, what I
In
would
past
like to
week.
do is if at some point in time before next Saturday, so like around Wednesday or so, if we could have a panel discussion on like hypothetical ideas around Back to the Future so that I can mill those around in my mind and then bring them to the show, that would be really cool.
We could meet and talk about that, and also talk about in general what we want to do with YouTube. This
Okay,
year.
sounds good.
Okay.
Okay,
I
let's
love you
do
all.
that.
Thank you for having
Love
me.
you, Nick. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So yeah, James Robinson's cool. What
Yeah,
We
we'll
should-
have
the
to
first thing we need
bear
to
that in
do-
mind for a future show. That sounds
Cool.
interesting.
but the first thing we need to do is just keep reading Miracle Man. I'm really curious to see what Grant Morrison does with it.
Yes.
Here's what I was going to say. I just remembered. Okay, the fact that you guys didn't read these Alan Moore issues, that's fine because we just told you about it. So you've got like a pretty good idea. Maybe one day you'll go back and read them. But whatever.
I've
For
read most
now,
of them.
let's all read Grant Morrison Miracle Man, and then we'll be ready for next week.
I
Grant
wanted
Morrison,
you to
Miracle Man.
point as well.
Grant Morrison Miracle Man.
Let me see, because I looked it up real quick to see if I can start reading it.
I can put you in touch with legitimate sellers.
Yeah,
I was
because I
just
need to
gonna
get.
say,
Where do you read this?
I've got a very handy drive in the corner of my screen. Would it be
I
possible-
have someone who'd like to sell you one legitimately.
Okay, I'd like to meet that person.
Exactly. So that's how we do that, Del. And then, yeah. So, like, real quick, I just want to tell you a little bit about the Neil Gaiman. I'm a gay man for gay man, right? You know that. So, here we have this story where it's the paranoid chick in a city that's sort of like London, and she's a spy, right? And she's like paranoid, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, and like everybody's spying on her, and nothing's real, and she doesn't know what all. And then like she figures out that like this is the world, this is Miracle Man's make of the world, and like spies are dishonest by nature. So he's created this utopia where no one steals, no one lies, no one murders, right? There's no theft. There's no theft, lies, or murder in Miracle Man's world, right? And spies, they should have made it about lawyers, really, but spies are like so deceitful by nature that they couldn't fit in the world. So they made their own little matrix for spies and she's like coming out of it because she can't take it anymore and she wants to go to the real world.
This is
And
Morpheus.
Yeah, this is Morpheus. So then what they have, this is a character called what is his name? Lindsay Cream or something. He's a minor character. But the point is she leaves the fucking spy matrix and goes into the real world, right? So she wakes up from her matrix, bro. And like that's really cool because then it like puts her right into the world that Miracle Man that Alan Moore created. So it's like this seamless transition from Alan Moore to Neil Gaiman. And with that, gentlemen, I
look forward to reading that.
Yeah, dude, let's do that for next week.
Well hosted. It sounds like you were. It caught you. Sounded like you liked it.
Oh, this is right up my alley, dude.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Max, are you the one that introduced or like told Ben to read Miracle Man?
Oh, yeah, I suggested it. I think he'd heard of it, but he just hadn't got around to it.
Oh yeah, he just hadn't read.
I hadn't read the Alan Moore run. I'd only read the
Grant Morrison
run. Yeah. I knew.
Yeah, and I was completely unfamiliar with it all. I mean, I knew of Miracle Man, but it was the name.
I didn't know.
Alan Moore had like spearheaded it, but I didn't know the ins and outs of the story.
No,
it's pretty dope premise.
Well, this is cool.
Yeah,
this is cool.
Stuff.
This is cool because the whole time I was reading the Alan Moore issues, I was thinking how similar this was to Grant Morrison's style.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And it's right up his alley. So like, I'm very much looking forward to reading this Grant Morrison run because I could totally see how he could take it over and give it a little bit more kick. Because I think his Animal Man is a more enjoyable read than this was. So his Miracle Man probably is finna be a lot of fun.
We'll maybe come back to it then in 2 weeks. So
Let's do that.
We do.
Yeah. That might be a good idea because it'll give us extra time too. Because there's a lot of reading there. Yeah.
Cool. So that's settled then. So let's end the show.
Yeah. Nice one, guys. Bye.
Yep.
It's the wrong one.
Oh.
As we've just seen, drugs make your problems go away. So make it the best day possible. Remember, it's drugs that counts. Take one and take a chance.
Saturday morning cartoons, mostly conjecture based on little knowledge.